I thought that was Hold On Lucy. That's what I always thought it was.
Lucy.
Yeah.
Wow.
What are you, a Peanuts fan?
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
I
No,
love
because it
Lucy.
sounds like that song. Anyway, Sean Patrick Bowley, you know him by now from Game Time, Connecticut. He has been very busy as we're putting together. All the playoffs are coming together. Well, they are all together Tuesday night. So let's talk, before we talk about anything, obviously New Canaan in the Turkey Bowl with a big victory over Darien. Some people are looking at the game and saying, well, yeah, but because Darien suspended 3 players, including starting quarterback Jack Joyce, and the backup quarterback comes in, very first play, he throws an interception return for a touchdown by New Canaan. But what do you hear about whether who's going to be playing for Darien?
Well, according to Dave Rudin, who just, right before we got here, Dave Rudin report said that he had 2 sources say that Jack Joyce, the quarterback, will play against East Hartford. We'll start against East Hartford in the quarterfinals. So obviously that changes things a bit. You know, it was kind of a no-win situation there. And those kids, after the rest report came out, you saw the mug shots, you saw everything. That was the thing they had to do. Now, I don't know the details of why. You know, I don't know if they're innocent or guilty or not. That's not for me to decide. But I think the Darien School District pretty much knows, you know, what's at stake here. And I think, personally, I think that they had to sit. And I'm surprised that they would start Joyce. I mean, maybe he didn't do any. Where was he? But he did get hit with charges. And, you know, I look at something like Pete Rosamondo up at Central Connecticut State. He suspends 2 kids for hosting a house party in their school's first ever playoff game. I look at that, and he suspends them. He doesn't care. It's a long-term look at the program. I look at this Darien situation as, you know, I feel bad if guys got caught in the wrong place, wrong time. But, you know, you get arrested. You are accountable to your team. That's a really tough spot. And all around, it's just a real unfortunate situation. Puts a real black mark, not on just their season, but the whole Class double-L, and maybe the whole high school season as a whole.
You know, they put themselves, those 3 young men, they put themselves in that position. They physically drove that.
Right.
From what we
Allegedly,
from
whatever.
The police
Right.
Yeah, from the reports, and you hate to judge
they went
without
there.
knowing
So whatever
all
else happened,
accounts.
whatever else
However,
happened.
part of being a disciplined program is not putting yourself in a position to be in trouble, and that's
Right.
it.
Right. I mean,
you know what's the famous? You know, you shouldn't be anywhere but in bed after 2 in the morning. I'm not saying this happened at 2 in the morning, but anyway. So for those people who are saying, yeah, Darien lost, and now as we look at the top 10, yeah, but is part of their team, part of the guys on their team, put themselves in a position to be in trouble. Anyway, that's why Darien is no longer the top team in the state,
Right.
and Sean, Greenwich is.
Look, Greenwich has been, you guys had in that report before, Greenwich has been it's been a nice surprise. We thought Johnny Marinelli would do a really nice job with this group, and the kids are all great, and they've been doing a really nice job. You know, you have Camizio, you have the quarterback Muir, you have, you know, Tyler Blizzard, and you can just
I've been very impressed with their special teams. Every time I go to one of their games, they're blocking.
Turned the game
returning.
around against
Yes.
Xavier. Xavier
Yeah.
was right in that game. And listen, they were, I mean, Darien's situation, I looked at it, I voted Darien 7th. I kind of looked at where the situation without those players and whether they, whether those players without having them, would impact the game or not. So I figured I'd look at it. I think Darien, there's still a lot of good players on the team. I thought that they were still good enough to maybe be in the middle of the pack there, but I had to dock them. Some guys didn't. We had 2 guys with, they got 2 top 10 votes. So they dropped down, but it was an easy choice elevating Greenwich up. Look, they're playing in the FSEC, which is obviously one of the best conferences in the state. And they've just been dominant all year. This is their first time, and can you believe this? The first time since 2006 that Greenwich has been number 1. They weren't ranked in 2007, and they haven't gone since.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very big. I mean, they first undefeated season, regular season since 2004. Just an amazing job. And we thought this would happen, but the fact that they've actually gotten here and done it, now they got to go finish the deal.
By the way, I was the other guy who voted Ansonia number 1. Just throwing that out there. All right, let's look at the bottom
Bottom
5.
5. Well, the next 5.
The next 5, yeah. It's
And
pretty
then,
tough to say Shelton in the bottom 5. New Canaan, Windsor with its loss to Middletown, Massac, and South Windsor back up into the top.
Well, I don't
And
think
Massac's
South Windsor.
lost too. Don't forget to Newtown.
Yes.
Was
kind of
There were a
surprise.
few
extremely
stunners.
surprising. That was
Yeah.
at home.
There were a few stunners. Windsor and Massac not losing their games and actually not falling out of the top 10 surprised me a little bit. I dumped them. I mean, I didn't dump them completely out, but I put them way at the bottom. I might have had one of them out. But that surprised me. A lot of voters kept them in there. South Windsor gets a nice bump. I thought they deserved to be maybe in that 10th spot all year. This might be the first time, and I was trying to figure it out. I couldn't really do it today, that South Windsor is ranked since maybe '88 when they were last in the state playoffs. So that's a really great accomplishment for Dave Hodges' team. They're a team that really nobody's really given a lot of credit to, but they were 0-10, 2 years ago, back-to-back seasons. Hodge comes in 0-10. 3 years later, they're playing in the state playoffs.
And unfortunately, they don't get to play at home. They have to
Now they have to play at East Hartford.
They don't have lights.
And East Hartford's all like, "What are you doing at our home?" But it took them a long time to figure that out. And I know a couple South Windsor people would really like to get lights, and I think this is kind of the impetus they need to get that going.
Let's talk about another surprise, and that was Fairfield Prep knocking off West Haven. West Haven was into the playoffs either way, but Fairfield Prep worked itself into the Double L playoffs.
Yeah, I mean that's not a spot Fairfield Prep typically wins, but credit to them. Especially Will Lucas, the quarterback, playing really well to rally that team, especially at the end. Real hard-fought game. Could have gone either way. Look at this ball right here from Lucas. Whoop! And it was off there. But they did a really, really nice job to get to this point. Like I said, they faced Greenwich, and that's a really tough matchup, not just for Greenwich, but not just for Fairfield Prep, but for Greenwich as well. That's a really tough team. And their defense has been spectacular all year. If they can get that offense going, Mastroni and Keith, they can get him and Will Lucas together, I think they have a really good shot to maybe knocking off Greenwich. Greenwich still the favorite, but.
So let's look at the Double L, because you mentioned the Fairfield Prep versus Greenwich in Class Double L. There you go. West Haven gets Shelton. How about this SEC battle? These guys are going to be putting up millions of points, as they typically do when they face each other, right? East Hartford
Rematch.
at Darien. That becomes interesting because we're wondering who Darien's going to be starting. And Naugatuck, which lost its first game of the season, closing it out the regular season with a loss to Ansonia at that South Windsor that you're fond of.
Yeah, that should be interesting. I thought Naugatuck played pretty well, all things considered. Dobbs ran over for 403 yards, but I thought that they, for the most part, they contained him, I guess is the phrase. Made a couple big plays, stayed in it before he just wore him out in the second half. This is the first second half he played all year, basically, right? Maybe there was one other, but Naugatuck came out of that really kind of fired up, which is surprising. You don't want to come out fired up after a loss, but that was a really big moment for them. So now they go in, and that's a really winnable game for them first round. Same with South Windsor. Those two teams couldn't have asked for a better matchup in the first round than each other. They didn't want to play Greenwich. They probably didn't want to play, one of the SEC teams.
Yeah.
They got each other there with a chance to go to the semifinals to see what they can really do.
Now in Class L, let's talk about the top seed there, a team that has a defense that's the best that I've seen in the state all year long, and that's Middletown. And the Blue Dragons undefeated, first, I think, undefeated season for them. In quite some time. They're the top seed in Class L, and I really like them.
Well, they whooped up on Windsor here, man. Windsor was cruising along. Windsor hadn't lost in the CCC in the regular season in 39 games or so. And then Middletown was the last team to beat him in 2013 with Dario Highsmith thinking he was a junior. And there's Hunter Belzo, and the defense has been great all year. They go up there. They only allowed one touchdown. That was on a pick six that Belzo threw, and they were able to reassert themselves and come right back and really hammering there was another interception. Their defense has been great all year, and they just hammered that offense that had been doing so great, like L.J. Walcott and Tomas Johnson. That's a big win, and I certainly think they're a favorite in that league. They got to get through Old Faithful. Number 8, New Canaan.
Yeah, it's like you get the number 1 seed.
Congratulations! You got to play New Canaan.
Yeah,
nobody wanted New Canaan in the playoffs.
Right.
Maybe we could thank Darien for that. Who knows? But New Canaan.
Who would it have been had Darien?
It probably would have been. It would have been Bunnell.
Oh, okay.
If Bunnell had been, they would have been in. So now they get Darien, and I'm sorry, Darien. They get
Newtown.
They get the 4-time defending champions.
Yeah.
What a tough matchup that is. The other one on the other side is even tougher. Han versus North Haven, two old SEC rivals down at the Surf Club.
They did not play each other.
No, they did not.
Yes.
As Tony Sagnella told me the other day, it said it's SEC Week 11 at the Surf Club down there. Those are old two Hammonasset Division rivals. As North Haven was making its move into the playoffs, its season ended in the quarterfinals of the semifinals down at the Surf Club. They've never won a big game down there. And now this is their moment. And now also on the other side, Dave Mastriani and the Han Tigers looking to get back the Han mojo in his first year as coach. So that'll be really, really fascinating, that game.
We're running out of time. Let's get quickly into Class M. I thought it was impressive how Joel Barlow comes in, gets a win over Weston in a game that whoever won was in.
That was an impressive performance. They got Rob Tynan's option offense to work into perfection. Really nice job by Joel Barlow. I loved, and they're going to play Sheehan. I think Sheehan's could win it all if it's not for Killingly. But Weston, I thought it was a pickup game with Barlow in them, but Barlow really showed its muscle there with the three-headed or four-headed rushing attack. So that'll be a really interesting matchup with Sheehan in the first round. But like I said before, that Law game, the Law getting in, really was one of the special moments, I thought, in Class M.
And against Killingly is going to be a tough opponent.
Yeah,
Again,
that's a tough trip.
That
That's
game
their
being
reward.
played in Canada, I think, right? Yeah. quickly, Class S. How about the rematch in one of the games between Seymour and Ansonia? This is a game Ansonia just ran all over Seymour the first time they met,
we were
right?
there for
Oh, yeah, we were there. 8 touchdowns in the first half or whatever
Yeah.
it was. Took them right out of the game. Now they go to Jarvis Stadium if that wasn't bad enough. Seymour knows what it's up against. Don't expect them, to have any illusions about what they got to do. But they can look at this film and say, well, whatever we did, we shouldn't do that. So they should just go in there with a whole.
You got to stop him. If you don't stop Dobbs,
Get a hat on him. Do what you
They got
can.
some other guys who can run. Here's their fullback running the ball and pounding it. It's just their offensive line does open up some holes.
Sonia's offensive line is very underrated. I mean, we say how great it is every year, but it's been rebuilt. They've got some guys like Colby Ortiz is an incredible. I mean, he's looking at an all-state season right now, and that's going to be really tough for Ansonia. On the other side, I saw Rocky Hill on Wednesday night. I thought Rocky Hill looked tremendous.
They threw the ball well. And
Yeah, they threw the ball. They unleashed Matt Osgood on the state.
Yeah.
Just when you think you got the two Joes Catania and Ferreira, you got to deal with Matt Osgood and the quarterback Danny Cavallero, who throws a great ball.
Beautiful.
Great shots, by the way. You did a really nice job on that
next
one.
to you, hey.
But that's the other one, and then you have
Just
St.
back
Joe.
right out.
Everyone wants that St. Joe showdown with Ansonia, so we'll see if it can happen for sure.